Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey folks, I love medical doctors and authors and women's hormone experts and fellows of the American Congress of OBGYNs and people from every walk of life that have discovered their reason for being on this planet. And that's why I love Dr. Larissa Ferdinand. She's all those things and the founder and CEO of the Estrogen Doctor Company, where she's combined advanced medical technology, genetic testing, evidence-based interventions, and proactive care to create amazing health and anti-aging results for her patients that she calls the future female. Hey, Larissa, welcome to the Something Significant show.
Glad to be here, Matt.
Wonderful. So get us started by telling our audience what you're doing these days to leave your mark of significance on the world.
I can say that literally in like two specific areas for me. And one actually is being more present. I don't know about you. I feel definitely in this past year, it is kind of ejected us in different areas, different pivots. And this has been a year where, number one, the transition of being like whatever season I'm in, being very grateful for that season. And that's being more present with my family, present with my purpose, present with the transition of changes. And number two, what you've already kind of mentioned about, just guiding more into this integrative space when I work with women and helping them really launch into perimenopause and beyond with greater ease, a better look at that whole body connection and not just one single thing, what I like to call no one trick pony.
And you were talking about seasons, and you meant the seasons of the year or the seasons of life?
Yeah, seasons of life. Yeah, for sure. And everybody has their season, right? Yep. So that's been, and I like to say whatever season that you've been placed or where God has placed you in. And for me, it's a sowing season, understanding that this is definitely something that has been reaped over time and things that'll be reaped later. So
that's a great way to look at it. And I feel the same way. If you just kind of accept each stage in life and don't try to cling to the past or get into the future too quickly, then for me, it's awesome. Every year is just a wonderful experience. Absolutely. So take us back in time. What's your earliest memory of when you knew you were going to become a doctor, and more specifically, an OBGYN?
Well, if I'm truly being honest, I was one of those children that, you kind of go from different careers, honestly, for a while. So I didn't kind of smack dab myself on the doctor thing until maybe around high school. I went to a math science magnet. I'm from Louisiana. I like to claim I'm a Louisiana girl by heart and mind, even though I've been a Floridian technically for a while. But so kind of landed there in high school and transitioned to college where I'm going after this, pre-med curriculum, biology. And no lie, I had one of those aha moments where you get that feel like, oh my God, I hope I don't disappoint my parents. I hope I don't disappoint myself. It was one of those times. But I bet on myself and, it was good and got into med school, but really did not see myself being an OBGYN. Actually, I went from wanting to do orthopedics or some type of surgical field to even family medicine. And then during the last years of medical school is where you do your clinical rotations. And I did OBGYN and never thought about it. Like literally everybody thinks that it was something I just wanted to do. And it just felt right. It was natural. It still married some of those other interests I had with continuity, ability to do surgery, some other things. But, I've even evolved from that, which is interesting. But it wasn't until truly into med school, I guess, last 2 years of med school.
And it just kind of happened.
Yeah, it was more natural. Like I knew it when I was in it. It was kind of strange, I didn't even think about this one.
Interesting. All right, so let's look forward about 50 years or so, because I know you're part of a group that believes human beings can look, feel, and live optimized lives up until like 120 years or more. So describe how you'll be impacting the world in 2070 and beyond? What's that look like for Dr. Larissa?
I had to do a calculation in my head. So I'm going to be like 94, right? So you can do a calculation from there. My birthday's in July. So I'm a July baby. And so I couldn't, when I hear that question, literally, I couldn't help but to think, like, I feel like no matter what, I want to be passing a baton. Like whatever season I'm really sowing in right now, that I'm passing a baton, because I've always felt that way when it came to my parents, my grandparents, and being an African-American woman and knowing that they lived in a time that was very segregated. Education was big, and to be to surmount to a physician in the family, that was a huge deal. So now translating, what does that look like now? The world and the canvas of the world is so much different, right? And really looking in that longevity vantage point makes a difference, and especially for women in my community, or just women period, because we're just impacted more than men are, and sometimes twice as much when we're talking about autoimmune and disease, thyroid problems, cardiovascular disease as we age. These pivotal times when hormones are like making women feel like they're having out-of-body experiences, really, And so when I see myself, I hope that I'm passing the baton, or that I've started to make these legacy changes, because like you said, we're amongst a tribe of villagers who really believe some of these things start in the womb. Some of these transgenerational changes start in the womb. And here I am, an OBGYN, and I have to start, just really thinking in that direction. And especially when it comes to women, since we're so much more impacted. And this week is Black Maternal Health Week. And knowing that when it comes to women of color getting more impacted with health disparities when it comes to pregnancy complications, to longevity, health outcomes, and all of that. And then just women, just that whole umbrella. So I really feel like hopefully I'm passing the baton. Hopefully I'm being still a teacher of wisdom. Hopefully I'm looking good. All right, now, come on. I'm one of those people, very real with you. And so 90 something and beyond, just still kicking independently, right? So, and being able to still do that.
That's great. And I think I turned 60 this summer. And I think the trick is,
happy birthday.
Thank you. If you just keep doing it, you can keep doing it.
Yeah.
And, so far, knock on wood, every year gets better. And I love the longevity effort. And if you get your mindset on that, it really takes a lot of pressure off, because I got a lot of time left.
Yeah. And it's engineering. And that's the thing, learning in this space, knowing that even that thought alone is engineering something on a very basic cellular level that cascades or is a catalyst and so many other mechanisms. So just not having a limited belief changes your trajectory.
100%.
And that's something.
Yeah, beautiful.
They don't talk about that. You understand that? Like, they don't talk about that in mainstream, do they?
No, they don't. Okay, so I define significance as doing things you love, in places you love, with people you love, and creating something of value to others. It's doing and it's giving. But as you know, you can't give from an empty cup. So what are your personal practices, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, financial, emotional? What do you do? What are the things you do to increase your capacity so you can take good care of yourself and your family and still have more to be a giver?
I love this. Just know I love this. And I love your equation, by the way. I'm a fan, big fan. The word capacity. So I'm building into an integrative space where I use the word power a lot. And literally within the definition of power is expanding your capacity and really understanding being instead of just doing. And so even in this space of time now of really curating that, my daily practices usually start with, what my oxygen mask look like. That's what I like to say, so I can give to others. I love the Calm app. I'm one of those upgraded membership people. And I love doing that in the morning because hormones are optimize your hormones, optimize your life. And I know I have a surge of cortisol, like, I'm used to like being in that lifestyle that, I've done more stuff at 7 o'clock than some people have done all day. And so I know that getting, kind of that settled moment, guided meditation, acts of gratitude. And I usually do a set devotional, whatever I've chosen and what I feel like the Spirit has moved me to do. Like even now, it's about being a praying wife to my husband, or how can I be there more as a spouse? And I try to do something. I'm a workout in the morning type person, for those who can, I usually recommend that. And then I'm like anybody else, it's a dash of, child getting here. But I've learned, like I said, the being, like if I'm in the car, all right, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to have, like not thinking about 3-4 steps. What I'm going to do after I drop them off, which is something that we often do. And so what that translates to, when you inspire yourself to make those transitions and those leaps, you end up showing up better for others. And it's like you become your own tribe and village keepers in a way. You've inspired this transition, so therefore it inspires others to do the same or something similar for whatever that looks like in their season of life. So
very good. Okay, well, let's take a commercial break because I want to tell everyone about 3 things. A brand new online course called The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life, how it helps people to discover their purpose and design the life they were meant to live, and 3, how every enrollment using promo code WITV7 will save them $100 and support a great big donation to our wonderful host, WITV7.
awesome.
Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made for good people. That's why I love Happy Living's online e-course. It's an 8-week-long deep dive into you and the inspired life you want to live. The life you were put here on this earth to live. The one that you and only you can live. 8 weeks of lectures and ideas and topics and supporting materials and powerful self-improvement tools. All designed for you. All designed to help you create the tools and the power and the confidence you need to discover your purpose and to discover the life you were meant to live and to feel incredibly inspired and motivated to decide you will live your life to its fullest. It's all designed to help you create the unique and distinct philosophy of you and your inspired life. Go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and save $100 with promo code WITV7. And for every enrollment, I'll donate another $100 to WITV7. For $300 and about 30 hours, I promise you'll never, ever be the same again. And we're back. And this is the Something Significant Show. And I'm Matt Gersper. Hey, friends, to be happy, really, truly, deeply happy, you got to find a way to find your purpose. You got to find a way to live the life you were meant to live. So I invite you to join me on a journey of discovery and exploration with our e-course, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life. We're ready to begin 8 weeks of working on you and the life you were meant to live. And now back to my inspiring guest, Dr. Larissa Ferdinand. She's living the life she was meant to live, helping women be more productive, decisive, powerful, and sharp as they continue the pursuit of the lives they were meant to live. So Larissa, tell us why you call your clients powerful future females.
It has to go back to that capacity, right? The expander capacity. And oftentimes we may ravel ourselves into just things. And I like to call comparisology. That's one of those things now where, between social media and what you see out there, it's so easy that we can beat up ourselves, like kind of self-sabotage. And it's interesting because sometimes, I'm going to say majority of the time, some of the background we don't recognize could be just the roller coaster of our hormones, just not understanding that connection of mind, body, spirit, and hormones. So being able to connect with women on the level of understanding from my traditional background and what I've learned so much and trained so much, but really extending from that. Because after I've seen thousands of women throughout the whole canvas of their reproductive life, I started, not only seeing patterns, but just the uniqueness of it, that no matter what, it's not a pill for every ill, there's always something beyond it. And most importantly, with that curating the future female is still someone that wants to connect to their world, connect to themselves. They want to still embody and embrace, their world and their passions. You still dream, you don't never feel like you don't have a dream or want something better for your life. But seeing how that connects to evolving technology and embracing that for good. And then realizing, with that uniqueness, don't put us in a container, don't put us in a cookie cutter, and that has been something that really expands women's capacity, just those belief systems that are not that limited, right?
Yeah, I love it. Hey, folks, Larissa says that we need more of what we need more of these days is teaching, inspiring, and empowering so that others can make their own transformations. And of course, I couldn't agree more. My second book is all about transformation. Turning Inspiration into Action explores the idea that big transformations and discovery of purpose often come from devastation, addictions, death, disease, disaster. Some big crisis shakes your life. But I've used a happier way and discovered the path to purpose in my life with inspiration. So Larissa, was there a specific moment or a situation when either devastation or inspiration revealed to you the purpose you were meant to live?
No matter what, my most authentic and true self is always going to be, I've been one that had to always have a right hook, or like literally one of those devastating things that happen that, your life just, needs that kind of hard drive reboot, And however, keeping a lot of those inspiring things behind you as well, like understanding that there's something greater. And so I'll start with the inspiration piece. Inspiration piece have always been kids. I have a 6-year-old son, and there's a guided meditation that helped remind me that, children, they are the most curious beings. They live with a lot of fearless activity than they do fear. They're the total opposite sometimes, as us as adults. And that's inspiring because it helps you understand, like, there's still possibility here. There's things that I can still expand within my capacity or my purpose. And so for me, in the devastation, or don't necessarily want to call it, I like to call them my right hooks, like
Right
wake
hook.
up calls, my right hook, my wake up calls,
Yeah.
my aha moments.
Yeah.
And I love what I do. Mainstream traditional medicine served this purpose for me, but at the same time, it was a friction of spirit for a while, and seeking other additional certification. Because you learn from your patients, you learn from the women you're in front of, and it was always something like, God, it's something else there. Let's look into this. And you may not learn that under all the covering of medical school. Like you learn to be a lifelong learner, and just depending on what direction you take. And so that was one of mine. Like, it was for a while where if there was a matter of ideas or things I want to put on a table, understanding that, the village or tribe that I was around really wasn't necessarily seeing it that way. And so over time, like, your flame kind of dies down and you keep seeking something else and getting more certain. Oh, go ahead.
You wrote about that in your chapter, and you said that your internal flame dimmed and you were experiencing this friction between your spirit and your life. What was it that lifted you out of that? Was there a moment, or was there a realization when you got your flame back? What was that inflection point? That's what I love.
I love that. So you're right. What was that actual inflection point? So I will say I probably had little mini wake-up calls, but oftentimes we have failure to launch. I love to, say it that way, just a failure to launch. And the inflection point had to do when someone, necessarily want to put in a container where I wasn't able to expand in the space that I was growing more in, actually increasing debt, trying to learn more and add more value to other people's lives. And you just get to a point where that breaking point, like that stick on the camel's back,
Well, what was it
where
for you though? What was your
last year, June, making the decision to leave my private practice at the time, and understanding that, like this, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and as a frontline worker, and I'm still a frontline worker in certain aspects because it's still a part of me, and that's the thing. You don't necessarily have to totally negate what's a part of you, because it's still ingrained in you, but it's just a difference of how you want to show up. You want to show up in a way where you're surrounded by people who think the same way, who are on that same perspective, the village keepers, and understanding that to really be was resetting my priorities.
So you left the structure
Yes.
of your practice and everything you had learned in medicine and launched out on your own as an entrepreneur because you weren't feeling you could be off your full self within the system. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, you gave me goosebumps. That's awesome. And how scary did that feel? And how awesome did it feel at the same time?
It's what we used to call in the surgery world anal sphinctering moments. So you had those.
I don't know a lot of medical terms, but I think I got
no,
that.
it's very common sense terms, but we'll say it's literally that, anal sphinctering moments. When you're in surgery, you're just like, oh my God. But so it's that, but it was still inspiring because at that time, a lot of things had shifted. I mean, I was at the time doing virtual school with my son. So just being present, like I said, inspiration of your children and seeing, like, God, I've missed a lot, running here, running there. And seeing that sometimes just looking at it always as that cup that really is full, but can't give no more from the cup that you've been given because it has become, empty, like you said. And so it was a mixture of those inspirations and those frightening moments of, you knew this was happening. You had a failure to launch. Now you just need to launch. So
good for you. I love it. Okay, so we've talked about capacity and purpose. And when you combine those two, I like to say the sky's the limit. It's capacity plus purpose equals happy. But I know the real magic of life comes from adding the fourth element of significance, which is doing work that creates value to others. So my happy formula is this: capacity plus purpose plus giving equals really, truly, deeply happy. So Larissa, it's not just giving that's magical, but it's giving from living in your purpose. That's where the magic is. So tell us, in your launch, how does it make you feel when you help a client become, as you say, the CEO of the bedroom, the boardroom, and her home by transforming her life and becoming more productive, more powerful, and more performance-driven with less effort? Tell us, how does giving to others from living in your purpose make you feel?
It feels right. It feels joyous, and those moments so randomly of someone that, because it's more of that connection, they have my number, they text me like, I made a decision today and I heard you in the back of my mind. And just the way I reacted to that was not my old self, and I feel better because I showed up more for me. And that's the thing, when you show up more for yourself, it is me right now, and really, I'm not saying that I didn't live authentically, but it's like when you evolve, when you change. And I love it how, are you familiar with Debbie Ford and the right questions? And it's, and it explores just, when you're making decisions, when you're going through these things in life, okay, is it something that's for long-term gratification, if it's long-term fulfillment, or short-term gratification? Is it something that dips more in what your divinity shows you, or your humanity? Is this something where it's going to help you empower yourself in one way versus self-sabotage, So, and a lot of things that I create that are transformational really go along those premises, because we have to ask ourselves those questions. And so when you do, it shows up in the work that you do. you know, and people will see it. And you keep practicing, you know, because it's a new art form in a way. We always talk about the greatness of medicine is the mixture of art and science, and it's the really art form that transforms.
So give me just a little bit more on that. The difference between the old Dr. Larissa working in the system and doing good and helping women improve their health, and the new you living your authentic self and doing things your way. When you give, the difference between those, you felt good here, but you felt there's a difference that we're exploring on this show that I want our audience to understand, and you just smiled in. That's the difference. Try to explain it.
Yes. So, and that's the thing, you read and get inspired, you know, by other people. And I think his name is Gary Hendricks. He has a book, Leap of Faith, and it talks about the zone of excellence and the zone of genius. And that's the thing, you're good at the excellent, but when you move and push past it, when you're in like your zone of, you know, genius, where, you know, like you said, the magic happens, you have the, you know, the more inner capacity, purpose giving. And so that's the thing, I never forget, you know, the foundation, because that's still a part of me, because I still feel like traditional medicine has its place. There's still some things and methodologies that I use every day, but now there's some icing on top, you know, there's some goodness, you know, wrapped in it, because I have more time. It's not a typical office visit or 10 to 15 minutes. I don't have to settle for, you know, annual woman's visit. I'm able to create more transformational change for a woman, where we're discovering more, we're designing. I love to use genomics and genetic things that would not, you know, give me that capacity within that particular container before, and to really give more strategic time, effort that's not dictated by, okay, this is what your insurance will pay for, and this is what your insurance won't pay for. So when you marry all of those things, yes, I have a smile on my face.
Yeah. So, I love it. I love it. Very good. Great stuff. So let's wrap things up with a quick lightning round. I'll read one of my very favorite quotes, and then you respond, telling us what it means to you, and just the very first thing that comes to your mind.
I love this. Love it.
This one's from Albert Einstein. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them.
One of my favorite quotes, I actually use this in the speakers segment, so that I think it. So the first thing that comes in mind is the pure definition of insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And that's the first thought that always brings. You have to curate something different for your lives, because that particular problem needs a different and a better real solution.
Yeah, good. From Lao Tzu, to the giver comes the fullness of life, to the taker, just an empty hand.
Oh, absolutely. When you give, it's like freedom in a way, you know, it unleashes something where it is the form of self-sacrifice. And most importantly, it's a form of, you know, not worrying about other things, you know, and knowing that whatever you're giving is of value. And that's so important.
It's the secret of life. From Voltaire, wherever my travels may lead, paradise is where I am. Oh,
I think of peace. Yeah, because there's certain peace that we're always seeking. So whether it's traveling to a location or traveling to a section of your home, like I am, sometimes when I'm running from my 6-year-old into my chair and a cup of coffee, I've traveled somewhere, and it's my little piece of paradise.
There you go. I love it. Okay, from Goff, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Absolutely. It's nothing better than now. And you can spite yourself a lot, and you can doubt and all that, but just do it. Take the leap.
Sometimes he's talking about your failures to launch, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just get it going.
Get it going.
Okay, Larissa, this has been awesome, but our time's running out here. Just take a minute or two and share any parting remarks or comments that you'd like to leave with our audience.
Great. This has been a great experience. Just having a conversation like this, you know, lights my face up. But if I had to put any remarks out there, it definitely, I want to put in that space of there's always an opportunity to expand greater than what you see in front of you. And oftentimes it starts in the mind, just believing or having a more limitless belief, but taking those next steps to really reach the transformation that you want. And oftentimes it's not going to be, immediately in front of you. We're tired. We got so many things going on, but understand there is a capacity of when you're working or inspired by your purpose or putting your own oxygen mask on, filling your cup, you will be able to give more, but more to those who you love, because I'm always going to take it for the women. Just like hormones, we're the curators, the negotiators, we're pretty much, hey, we make the magic happen. And if we build health and wellness from a different vantage point for ourselves, we know automatically we're going to have a healthier world. We're going to have a healthier family, community, so whatever. So to me, I'm always going to be the future female champion, mentor. And it starts with really understanding and lying in that purpose and making sure that women are inspired to do the same.
Fantastic. Thank you, Larissa. And now, folks, it's your time. It's time for you to show a little love to our broadcast host. And every little bit matters. So if you can hear my voice and you are inspired by today's show with Dr. Larissa Ferdinand, please donate what you can to WITV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Larissa, I love your message of the future female. And I loved reading your amazing chapter in Codes of Longevity, where you write about the future female mindset of health. And you introduce 3 power tools to lengthen health span and lifespan: brain, sleep, and a DNA diet that creates limitless willpower. And I appreciate you for sharing your voice here today to teach and to inspire and to empower us all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
As always, I want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guests like Larissa and reaching folks out there ready to create their own extraordinary lives. A special thank you to our sponsors for the month of April, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life and Happy Living. Remember, I'll donate $100 for each and every enrollment for the entire month to WITV7. So tell all your friends too. Just go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and enroll today as if your absolute best life depended on it. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things Dr. Larissa Ferdinand. Find her, friend her, buy our book, Codes of Longevity, in which both Larissa and I and many others have written chapters about how you can unlock your potential to look, feel, and live life optimized. Oh, get her free guide, 10 surprising facts about women's hormones, and even schedule a 30-minute future female power up discovery call. And from me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be happy. We do what we do on the Something Significant show to inspire you to live your life to its fullest, to believe as I do that a better self is always possible today and every day for the rest of our lives. That inspired life that you've been dreaming about, it's calling you. It's calling you to be bold, to get on with it, to start moving along your path, the special one to your dream, your unique and distinctive journey, because that's where you're going to make your mark of significance on the world.
Absolutely.
So till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome, and this is the Something Significant show.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
And we're out.